What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So, I didn't mention this in a video that I posted a few days ago. Does Social Security add to our national debt? Because if you listen to some of the politicians out there, they will lead you to believe that Social Security is the problem. Social Security is adding to our debt. Or they won't say that exactly because they know that's not true, but they'll use Social Security. They'll talk about Social Security, $1.4 trillion we spend on Social Security, and then they'll talk about our debt, where our debt's at $35 trillion, and they'll hope that the listener is saying, okay, well, it looks like Social Security is the problem if we have $35 trillion debt and we're spending $1.4 trillion every year on Social Security. Well, Social Security is the issue, but it's not. And I'm going to explain to you why. And in that video that I posted a couple of days ago, I didn't talk about that. I didn't really get into it, but I want to talk about it in this video and explain to you exactly what's going on when it comes to Social Security and our debt. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, let's go ahead. Let me pull up our illustration here. And we're going to look at a few different things here. Actually, let's look at the debt first. So I think it's important for us to really look at how we're spending money and why we're in the situation that we're in right now. And I say we. It's Congress. Congress is spending the money. Politicians are spending the money, okay, spending our money. So when it comes down to it, this is how much revenue we bring in, or at least we brought in 2024. $4.9 trillion. And you're saying to yourself, that's a lot of money. We bring in a lot of money. However, we spend $6.7 trillion so far this year. Now, it will go up, but so far this year, that's how much we spent. The problem is we have a deficit of $1.8 trillion. And that $1.8 trillion is what's added to our national debt. So our national debt right now is around $35 trillion. And it will continue to rise because every year we run a deficit. Every year we spend more money than we take in. And that is a huge problem. And politicians are doing nothing to stop it. The last 20 years, we've run a deficit. The last 20 years. And so every politician that's been in office in the last 20 years, they have contributed to this. Because there's not a politician out there, whether they be a Democrat or a Republican, that don't like to spend money. They all like to spend money. They just want to spend money on the things that's interesting to them. That's the problem. And so you could have some politicians out there saying, oh, we need to make cuts. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to balance our budget. They only want to balance the budget if they can still spend money on their little pet projects. That's the bottom line, no matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Democrats will say, let's raise taxes and then we'll have more money to spend. Whereas Republicans, they won't say that. They'll say, we need to make cuts to certain areas, but we still need to spend money over here because these are the things that we want. And so you can decide which fence you want to be on but when it comes down to it, they all spend money. All politicians spend money. Okay. So let me show you this, because this is the problem. When you start listening to politicians and they start saying, okay, this is what we're looking at. This is how much money. This is the spending. So in 2024, $1.4 trillion went to Social Security. And then you have $912 billion went to healthcare. You have $882 billion went to just paying interest on our debt, which is crazy. And then you have $874 billion went to Medicare. $874 billion went to our national defense. So you get the point here. We're spending a lot of money. So you have some politicians out there saying, look, Social Security, that's what we spend the most money on. We need to make cuts there. Well, first off, it's mandatory spending, okay? And if we look here, let me show you this. When it comes to Social Security, and I've talked about this before, but I just want to go over it. I know you guys, some of you don't watch every video that I post, so you might have missed this. But let's say you have people who are working. These people are contributing 6.2%. And their employer is matching that 6.2% for a total of 12.4%. That money goes to the Social Security Administration, which really it's funneled into the trust funds, okay, the 2 trust funds that you have for Social Security. And then that money pays out benefits to people who are currently receiving Social Security benefits. So that's how it currently works. This money, this payroll tax, and that's what it is, payroll or payroll contribution, FICA, this money is separate. It's separate funding. It's mandatory and it's separate. And so when we're looking, if we move over here and we start looking at individual, so what I'm showing you here is this is the revenue sources. This is how the U.S. government gets the money to pay bills. Okay, part of it is income taxes. Another part of it's Social Security and Medicare taxes. And then you have corporate income taxes, and then you have some smaller areas here that are collecting money. One that I didn't even really think about, the Department of Interior. So when you go to national parks, you pay that entry fee. Some of that money goes to pay off our bills, which I think is great. So if you are ever in the area and you want to go to a national park, go to a national park and pay that fee, because that fee does help with our finances, if you want to look at it that way. Okay, so looking at this, you have the income tax, then you have Social Security taxes, Social Security and Medicare taxes. This is walled off. This is separate, okay? And what people will try to lead you to believe is that all the tax, this is all in one basket, and they're just spending the money. It's like a general fund where they're just spending some money on national defense, spending some money on Social Security, but that's not how it works. Social Security will not add to our debt because this money is separate. This money is coming from the payroll tax and the trust funds. And so, as I stated, when you're contributing, when you are working, you're contributing that 6.2% and your employer is matching that 6.2%, that money is what is going to the Social Security Administration. It ends up in the trust funds, and then the trust funds will pay out benefits. And we have enough money right now to pay out benefits at 100% when you combine the money that's in the trust fund, around $2.7 trillion, and the money that's coming in from the payroll contribution. You have enough money to pay out benefits at 100% and not add any money to our national debt. However, when we're looking at income taxes and all the other areas where you're bringing in money, that is not enough money to pay all our bills. And that's the problem. And that's why we run a deficit every year, because we're not bringing in enough money. And like I said, you can put Social Security aside because that money is coming from somewhere else. So our federal government, we're in a deficit because we don't have the money that we need. So either we need to spend less or we need to earn more, bring in more revenue. And how do you bring in revenue? You have to raise taxes. Okay, at least that's the best way to bring in more revenue. And therein lies the problem. Politicians don't want to raise taxes because they know if they raise taxes, it could be, they could end their career. And so they don't want to do it. And so that is the issue that we're having right now. But when you have some politicians saying things that aren't true and putting Social Security on the chopping block and saying we need to make cuts to Social Security because look at what's happening with our national debt, that is irresponsible. But we do hear it. We do hear politicians saying that. And I just wanted to put this information out so you guys know that's not what the issue is. The issue is not Social Security. The issue is all the other spending. Now, Social Security does have some problems. We know that in 10 years, the trust funds will run out of money. And when they are completely depleted, I was talking about the $2.7 trillion, when that is gone, then we're going to see an automatic cut to Social Security benefits of around 23%. We know that that's what's going to happen. Now, Congress needs to act. They need to do something in order to make that, to fund Social Security for another 50, 75 years. But they're dragging their feet on that. They're not moving because the reality is you're going to have to raise the payroll tax. That's the only way that you're going to be able to solve this issue. You can't cut your way out of this. You can't just make cuts and say, okay, well, that will prolong Social Security for another 50 years. It's not going to happen. And the same thing goes when we're looking at our deficits. We keep running these deficits. Guess what? You're not going to be able to cut your way out of that. There are not enough different areas that you can cut in order to balance the budget. And so all of that deficit spending that we're doing is just adding to our debt. The only way that we're going to be able to get out of this, or the only realistic possibility, at least short term, is we have to raise taxes. And hopefully you get to a place where your revenue and your spending are around the same. But the danger of raising taxes is you might discourage growth, economic growth. And if you discourage economic growth, then now you're not going to have as many people working, you're not going to have as many businesses out there, and that they pay taxes right now, and so you're going to lose taxes on that end. And so it's not an easy fix. I mean, we've been brought into this. We've been brought into this by our politicians. It's not going to be an easy fix, but we do need to make some adjustments. And when it comes to Social Security, I think that's much easier to address than our deficit spending. And so I want to know what you guys think about this, but the main reason for this video is I just want you to understand, look, Social Security is not adding to our national debt. Any politician you hear saying that, they are lying to you. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.